I've made 3 cards using scrapbook.com's Hello Summer stamp set, and they turned out so cute. Hello everyone, it's Joy here. Welcome to my channel. I appreciate you so much for stopping by and watching. This is the Hello Summer stamp set. It's so cute. I love these solid images. We're going to do a lot of fun things with these 3 cards. We're going to do a lot of white space, white heat embossing, and some ink blending and stamping. So just hang tight because these cards turned out so super cute. So we're going to start with this big, large sun, and it's a solid stamp. And what I decided is I wanted to create this mini beach, sunset in this sun stamp set. So I'm going to start with my water. I'm using all Distress Oxide inks, and this is the Salvaged Patina. I'm using some mint tape, and I do apologize if my head gets in the way. There was a lot of needing to look at details, and so I tried to edit that out as much as possible. But I'm using some mint tape so I can just get some lines for my ocean and for my sand. And then after that, I can just blend that sunset together. I decided to make the ocean a little bit bigger, so I moved my tape up a little bit higher because it was just too little for my favorite color to be on this cute card design. So I'm going to tape off my image on my cardstock. This is A2 sized cardstock. This is Neenah Classic Crush Solar White cardstock. Then I'm going to tape off my sun a little bit higher so we can add the sand with antique linen. So I do have, when I have the door open on my Misty, I'm lining it up with the grid on my work surface so that way I can make sure my lines are taped straight. I'm not really lining it up with the grids on my Misty, but I am doing it on my work surface. It was just easier for me to see the black background through it. So we got our little land there, our sand, and now we're going to start with our sky, or excuse me, finish with our sky. So I'm going to be using Squeezed Lemonade, Dried Marigold, and Kitsch Flamingo. I'm going to ink this up just a little bit, and you saw that I wiped some of that ink off of the bottom because it did get a little bit on the sun rays. You could tape that off, which I probably should have, but I just wiped it off with the rag. Then I'm coming in with Dried Marigold, and then I will do the Kitsch Flamingo at the top. And then I'm going to take my blender brush and just soften the edges where each color would meet together so it wasn't like this harsh straight line. Then I'm going to remove that tape because you don't want to stamp that on the background, and then I'm going to ink that up, and then we have the start of our background. I'm going to do this again just to get a nice good blend with all of the colors, and I'm going to ink that up the same, remove my tape, and then stamp that down. Now we have this really cool background. I've lined up these sentiments that say aloha, love you to the beach and back, and then there's a little stamp that has 2 of these birds, these beach birds. So I'm inking that up. I did prep it with an anti-static powder tool. I'm inking it up with VersaMark clear embossing ink, and then I'm going to sprinkle on white embossing powder, and look at that background. And then I'm going to heat this up and melt it until it's nice and shiny, and then we have this really awesome card. There was a little spot on my stamp that didn't stamp, so I'm just dipping a paintbrush in that Kitsch Flamingo and filling in that little hole. Let's go on to our second card. We will put all 3 of these cards together at the end. So there's this fun summer sentiment, and I thought it would be fun to stamp this 5 times with all of these same colors that I used on the first card. So I'm going to use all of these colors throughout my card making. So I lined it up in the center. I kind of measured, kind of eyeballed, and then I'm just moving it up in the Misty, making sure that it's nice. Moving my cardstock up in the Misty, making sure that I do have nice spacing and it's even. This is where I'm kind of eyeballing it, but I'm not moving this stamp. I don't want to have to line that up top to bottom, side to side. So now I just have to move my Misty up, or excuse me, my cardstock up and down in my Misty, and then I can really get a nice stamping. I also want to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for being part of that community. Okay, let's do our top here. So I started in the center with the squeezed lemonade, and then I went down to antique linen and salvaged patina, and then upwards above the squeezed lemonade, I did the dried marigold, and then I'm going to do the Kitsch flamingo. So I'm doing it in that same order of ocean to sunset. Then there's a sentiment that says, have a wonderful, and I'm going to line that up in the center of the yellow summer, and then I'm going to add these little birds. Now the trick is when you stamp on top of Distress Oxide inks, you want to use an Archival black ink. I'm using Ranger's Archival Jet Black ink. It is nice and crisp on top of this ink. If you use just regular inks, it just kind of dulls it and it doesn't stand out as black and as intense. I'm going to add these birds down here at the bottom. And then this is a second background of ours. And then let's get to our third one. The third one's not going to have nearly as much white space, but we are going to add a lot of white to it. Let's use these same colors. I'm going to start ink blending my ocean with the salvaged patina. And then we will come in with the antique linen. I'm going to use the little 4x4 grip mat from Waffle Flower because they sent this to me recently along with the 7.5 by something, and I can't remember, but I'm using this one to hold down my ink pad, and it works so good. It does not slide around at all. Let's use the antique linen and add our sand layer. This again is just going to work up through the sunset sky. I loved these cards so much, making them with all the same color palette, but they all look so different. Number one, it made it super easy. I didn't have to think of a ton of colors. And what a fun little gift set of cards. Like if you wanted to gift somebody some cards, you could do it this way and that would be really cute. These are some of my most favorite cards I've made in a long time, and I really do love it's made from one stamp set. Granted, it's a big stamp set, but I love all the images, and we could still make more because there's way more sentiments and there's other images on there that we could use. So I'm adding a little bit more of that antique linen. I did do the squeezed lemonade, and then we will work up the dried marigold and Kitsch flamingo. We will finish off with that. So I'm going to flip this around. I wanted to clean off my work surface so I didn't blend colors together. So let's get this orange here, and then we can finish off with the pink. And we are going to use a big sentiment that says, soak up the sun. We're going to use the little sun, the birds again, because I love the birds. And then we're going to build a large palm tree. You can also make a smaller one, but we're going to do a large one, and I love how it turned out. So I do have those lined up in my MISTI. My head was in the way a lot in this video, you guys, so I had to do a lot of editing out. I did prep it with an anti-static powder tool. I also made sure my ink was dry. I did take my heat tool to it. I'm using the clear embossing ink to ink on the background. I'm going to do that a few times, and then I'm going to come in with my white embossing powder and sprinkle that all over the background. So I just have the stem to the palm tree or the trunk. We will build the second part of that. I just wanted to get this stamped and the heat embossed, heated up. And now we can add the palm fronds. So there's two large palm fronds and two small ones. I'm using the two large ones, so you have one that points one way, one that points the other way. And so I'm working on the left side here with one of those images. I did 3 stampings, and then I will do the other side with the other palm frond that faces the other way. So I'm going to do this last one here, line it up. And because clear embossing powder, this is VersaMark, is so sticky, it stays wet for a long time. I heated that up. Now on that little edge of the water and the sand, I'm going to sprinkle on my white embossing powder. There is no clear embossing ink down. It's very dry. And I'm going to take a paintbrush and kind of dust off the little sprinkles. And this can also help me push the line up and make a more sharp line, make it smaller and thinner, because when you sprinkle it on, it kind of spreads out far. So this has a nice shape to it, and I'm going to heat this from underneath only because nothing is holding this powder down. So if you take your heat gun to it on the top, it's just going to blow it off your card. But we're going to watch this melt here, and then we'll have this nice little white caps to the ocean, or little foam at the edge of the water. I will adhere these to white A2 size card bases. That last card that we did, I did trim down slightly smaller than an A2 size because I did want to see a white border around it to bring in more of that white with the color of that background. So let's take a look at these up close. I love how these turned out. Look at how beautiful this is. I love these cards. Let me know down in the description which one is your favorite. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you feel inspired by these cards. I hope you have a really wonderful day. Thanks again for all of your support and for watching my videos, and I'll see you guys soon.